Hey guys, welcome back. We're going into Ecclesiastes 3 today. So, let's begin. Ecclesiastes 3 starts with saying there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Now, many of us who grew up in church know this next passage. It says a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Now, this is oftentimes quoted as, like, oh, everything has a season. There's a time for everything, and you don't need to do everything at once. It's not really what this passage is trying to say, though, because if we look at the next verse, what do workers gain from their toil? I've seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Remember, this is Ecclesiastes, the book that literally begins with saying, everything is meaningless. Does it seem likely that this book is going to be saying, oh guys, there's a time for everything? No, it's really not. It's saying something else. It's saying something about the nature of human existence. It's not trying to say necessarily, the time for everything, guys. Because that's not the kind of book that Ecclesiastes is. And with verses 9 through 11, the author clarifies what he was saying. Because all those things that he mentioned earlier are some form of toil, some form of work. And he says, but what do workers gain from their work? I mean, it's a burden that God's given the human race. Yeah, everything's beautiful, but no one can know what God has done from beginning to end. He's reflecting on what he said in the past and adding to it. Because he's said in the past, in past chapters, that because no one can fathom what God has done, everything is meaningless. He's recalling that to then therefore say, that work that I mentioned at the beginning of the chapter, for the first 8 verses, that's meaningless too. Toil is meaningless. In verse 12, he then says something that he's been saying quite a few times. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. That each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. I know, or I'll stop right there. He's saying, as he said quite a few times, the gift of God is enjoyment. That people can enjoy what they've done for their lives. This is the gift of God, and it's good that people do this. But even he won't say that that's meaningful, as he'll say later on. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing can be taken away. God does it so that people may fear him. Whatever is has already been. What will be has been before. And God will call the past to account. Now, what's he saying with that? First of all, he's echoing what he said earlier on in chapter 1. What is that which has been, that which will be, is that which will be still further, something along those lines. He's saying nothing's new, as he said earlier. And God will call what's happened in the past to the present. He will call the past to account to what's happening right now. And then I saw something else under the sun. Place of judgment, wickedness was there. Place of justice, wickedness was there. He's realizing, wait a second, okay, let's shift gears a little bit here. Yeah, What's been is that which will be, all that stuff. But there's there's wickedness everywhere. Even the place where there's supposed to be no wickedness, where they judge wickedness, there's still wickedness. And he says, "Oh, but God will bring into judgment both the righteous and the wicked. There will be a time for every activity, a time to judge every deed." Okay, you know what? God will take care of it. God will judge the wicked. And then I said to myself, as for humans, God tests them so that they may see that they are like the animals. But wait a second. God tests them so that they may see that they're like the animals. Surely the fate of human beings is like that of the animals. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. I mean, all have the same breath. Humans have no advantage over animals. Everything's meaningless. He's saying, okay, God, or there's no justice. Even in the places of justice, there's wickedness. But wait, no. God will judge. And then why does God judge? Well, to show that we're really no different than animals. But wait a second. We're no different than animals. We'll all die like animals. Everything's meaningless. We die the same as everything else. He even says, all go to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust all return. Who knows if the human spirit rises upward and if the spirit of the animal goes down into the earth? First of all, he's saying, he's furthering the idea of all go to the same place. All of us come from dust, and to dust all return. And on top of that, we all go to the same place physically. Why wouldn't we all go to the same place spiritually? It was a common belief that, animals just went down to the earth. Their souls didn't really last much after they died. Well, why would it be different with humans? Why would it be? There's no reason for him to assume that it would be, especially for them. Because remember, Solomon's writing this, and at the time that Solomon would have written this, there hadn't been much on like the death and resurrection, on people being resurrected again, and on afterlife in general. The Jews wouldn't have believed that very much. I mean, it would have been a little bit there, but they would have had to do a lot of serious study in order to get there. Later books added to the Jewish beliefs on resurrection and on afterlife, but he didn't have that. As far as he knew, once he died, that was it. So therefore, I saw that there is nothing better for a person than to enjoy their work, because that is their lot, or who can bring them to see what will happen to them. He's first of all bringing this full circle, because remember, in verse 9, he says, what do workers gain from their toil? Now, in the end, he's saying there's nothing better for a person than to enjoy their work, their toil, because that's their lot. He is saying, yeah, those first 8 things I mentioned, like the first 8 verses of like a time to do this, a time to do that. Yeah, it's good that people enjoy that, but they enjoy it. It's good for people to enjoy that because that's all they have. I mean, who knows what will happen to you? Can you really say that you know what's going to happen to you after you die? The writer says, no, you can't. You don't know what will happen after you. You may believe something, but you don't know. For all you know, what happens to your soul is the same thing that happens to the spirit of to the soul of the animal. There's no way for you to know, for sure. So, enjoy your work, because it's very possible this is all you have. very possible this is all you have in life, is this work. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with him, but he's trying to get you to think about it. He's trying to get you to change your perspective and to doubt your beliefs. He's trying to say, hey, you all believe, oh, everything's fine, everything's perfect. Oh, yeah, there's wickedness, but don't worry, God will judge. Oh, there's this, but don't worry about it. But you probably should. I mean, oh, there's time for everything, but is there? All your work doesn't really do anything. So is there a time for all of it at all? Like, why should there be? And then, yeah, you know what? People should live happy and eat and drink, but that's meaningless. And then there's wickedness everywhere, even in the place of judgment, of justice. There's wickedness, but God will take care of it. But if God takes care of it, doesn't that make us no different than animals? And if we're no different than animals, won't we die like animals? And won't the same thing that happens to animals happen to us? That's what the author's trying to get us to think about. Is, hey, let's challenge our preconceived notions about what matters, about what's real. So, think about your beliefs. Don't full on question them, but think about it. And I'll see you next week.